Well, thank you everybody for coming this morning. And here we are on this snowy Sunday, December 18th, right? Oh my goodness, a week till Christmas. Hopefully everybody is welcome. But thank you for joining us today. For any new people on Zoom, my name is Tamara Rossander. I'm the spiritual director here. And I want to acknowledge and recognize that I'm a settler on this land. And I'm grateful and honored to live and operate on the traditional and ancestral unceded territory of the Coast Salish nations. And I want to thank the peoples that take care of the lands, of the waters above, all that is above and all that is below. And I recognize that there are, here at this gathering, there are people working and living in other traditional lands of many other Indigenous peoples. But as CSL White Rock is committed to the vision of a loving, vibrant world that works for all, we're committed to uplifting Indigenous voices, respecting traditional lands, and working with communities towards reconciliation. So again, I want to thank the First Peoples. And with that, so now I get to welcome one of our guest musicians who's always wonderful and fabulous. So no pressure at all, Nathan at all, but we love to have you here. So we're so excited, and it's my pleasure to welcome back Nathan as well.
Thank you, Tina. Good morning, everyone here, and good morning, everyone online. I'm wearing this tie because it's the only Sunday of the year I can get away with wearing this tie. And there's a reason for it, and you'll hear later on when Amanda's speaking, it fits in perfectly with what she's talking about this morning. So our opening song this morning is Deck the Halls. So let's sing that loud because we all know it well. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Toll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la. Hail the new ye lads and lasses, fa la 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 la. Sing we joyous all together, fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la. First verse again. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la.
Thank you, Nathan. Wow. It's a good to start off with a sing-along and get everybody in the mood. And that is a great song to say today that this month is the month of light. So as we celebrate all the different religious holidays that are taking place, CSL, as we are an inclusive spiritual community and learning center, we honor the many paths to the one. So our vision at CSL White Rock is a loving, vibrant world that works at all for all. And our teaching is based on the 4 cornerstones that everybody knows off by heart, I'm sure by now. Is what? There is one life, and it is the source of all life and all things. 2, we are spirit having a human experience. 3, nothing outside of us needs to change for us to be happy. And 4, my favorite, we're here to walk each other home as our spiritual community. Well, now I have the opportunity to invite one of our board members up, our board president, Janet Pope, to introduce our speaker today.
Thanks. Thank you, Tamara. It's interesting. I was trying to think what to share, and what I realized is once Amanda left home, our relationship was always at a distance because she moved. She went to Halifax. Then she went to Bristol in England. Then she went to Ireland. And then she came back, but she came back, I think, to Ontario first. Yes. And then finally stopped in Kelowna and stayed there for quite a while. She's actually moved again now, but that's okay. Only to Nanaimo. And so what was funny was that so most of our conversations were on the phone and at, long distance. And when she got to Kelowna, we were talking at some point, and she was saying things I hadn't heard her say before. And I said, "Are you learning something new, or are you, studying something?" And she told me she joined a group called the Center for Spiritual Living in Kelowna. And she was telling me about spirit. In fact, she sent me the steps of spiritual mind treatment because I was struggling with something. So she sent me a little card to show me how to do it. So I'm like, okay. And so what was lovely was she said, "Mom, there's one in White Rock." So that's how I got to join Center for Spiritual Living. And I will always be so grateful for Amanda introducing us to the family, to this community. So thanks, Amanda, and I'm so honored to be your mom and to welcome you today.
Thanks, Mom. So what a delight to be here today and right at the beginning of the holiday season and to share with you all. It is definitely a winter wonderland out there. And hi to all of you on Zoom as well. I hope you're all staying cozy warm wherever you are. I think I heard someone's in Mexico, so I have a little envy there. So actually, my talk today is called "'Tis the Season." That's the talk you use at this time of year when you have no idea what you're going to talk about. So, but I do now know. And actually, I listened to Tamara's talk from last week, and very much I am sort of piggybacking on what she talked about. She talked about belonging and community, and how it's really that sense of belonging is an inside job. So Tamara shared a couple of things last week that I thought I just wanted to revisit. She shared that she's successfully passed her ministerial exams and that she's been working on finding her voice. And I really just wanted to honor her and this community, seeing as I have this platform today. And I got 20 minutes to do whatever I want. But what I want to say is that, this idea and this whole phenomenon of having a senior ministerial student step in as a spiritual director of a community is very new to CSL. And I don't think it's easy. This is a community that's been through a lot of change in the last few years, and Tamara's been here and been a part of it with you all. And so she mentioned that she's, thought about, am I trying to be Reverend Cassandra? Am I trying to be Reverend Terry? And you all probably had that experience as well, comparing, and naturally, as you would. But I think I'm going to cry. Your talk last week, Tamara, you were so grounded in yourself. And we struggled. I was in ministerial school with Tamara, and we struggled to find our voices, to really embody the principles so that we can share them in the way that's true to us. And I thought your talk was such a beautiful example of that. And I want to honor the community. Like, you've all been through this together. And Tamara found her voice out front in front of you all. Like, some of us were in different communities and could do it just in practicing with each other, but she was here. Like, that to me is raw and real and beautiful, and what spiritual community is. And really, that's what drew me to a New Thought spiritual community, is that you get to watch the leaders in the community grow, because we are all on this constant expansion. And it's a beautiful thing. So I just want to honor you all, and you, Tamara. So. Oh, yeah, thank you, yes. So the holiday season, let me just paint a picture for you. So we've just recently moved to Nanaimo, And I work from home a lot, so I get a knock on my door. I open the door, and two of my neighbors are wearing Christmas hats, and they sing a little Christmas song. And they say, "Hey, we're thinking I live in a condo right in the harbor there, and they said we're thinking of doing a progressive dinner for the holidays. So we'll spend a little bit of time in each person's suite. Would you like to join us?" And I thought, fantastic. We've only been there a few months. We've met a few people, but we didn't know a lot of people there. So I thought, excellent. Like, what a great, fun idea to get to know the neighbors, celebrate the holidays. I was excited. So I told Derek about it when he got home, my partner, and we were set to be one of the hosts in that. So then the next 3 days, something changed. And what changed was I started thinking, what am I going to make? And all of a sudden I realized, I have this feeling that I have never successfully made a dish in my life. What could I possibly serve to people? There's going to be 20 people in my very small little condo. How can I make this work? And then the stress started to build. And that made me think about, and while I'm thinking about this, I don't have time to do my Christmas shopping, and I have a house full coming. And then my dad, just to help out, sends me a text saying, "Did you know there's a turkey shortage this year? Have you got your turkey? Have you ordered it? What do you want me to do?" And I thought, oh my goodness. So can you relate to any of that? And now, not only I know this stuff, I know that we have principles that say that there's only one thing happening, that my experience in the outside world is relative to what I'm thinking internally. So I have been through stress over the holidays before, and I have set my intention that I will be authentic, that I will be present, I will be grounded. So why does that happen? And then to add insult to injury, we can get that new thought guilt of, I must be doing something wrong. So the good news is that's not our fault, if that is your experience as well. So 'tis the season for the activation of the limbic system, I have discovered. And basically our limbic system in our brain is the system that lays down what they call episodic memories, so events that have happened to us. So we have the hippocampus and the amygdala, and they work together. And so when an event happens to us, we store it. We often attach our senses to it, what smells are happening and sights are happening. And then our amygdala adds emotion to that, and it kind of locks in as this really firmly formed memory in our mind. So this is really helpful. As a young child, if you're riding your bike through the woods and you fall over into a bunch of stinging nettles, you're going to experience pain. Now your mind will lock onto, riding my bike through the woods, I should be on high alert because I have a memory of what happens if you fall off your bike into stinging nettles. So it's a very, very helpful system. So at Christmas time, when this limbic system gets activated, it actually is a sign that our brains are working exactly as they're supposed to. So, but why I find during the holidays, and if you don't celebrate Christmas, there's whatever holiday. Actually, I was listening to Tara Brock, who's a Buddhist teacher, and she was talking about it in relation to the U.S. Thanksgiving. So any of those kind of big holidays where we tend to have traditions that we do in our families, but also it will be in the media. You see it when you're out and about. And so Christmas for us in this part of the world for sure is one of those times. I mean, here the room is all decorated. You go into a store and they're playing Christmas carols. You may have decorations at your house. You may have traditions. Everybody talks about, the weather, and apparently this year a shortage of turkeys and all of those things that, make up the holiday. The foods, the smells, the baking, the turkey, all of that. Really, that's a time where we lay down a lot of memories. If I asked you, what have you done on August 4th every day, every year of your life? Probably you'd have a hard time coming up with that, unless that happens to be your birthday or something, right? But if I ask you, what did you do on Christmas every year of your life? With enough thought, you probably could come up with quite a few of those memories. So we have kind of this perfect storm for our limbic system, where we have a time where there are traditions that are beautiful in a lot of ways. We have times where there are heightened emotions, heightened sensory experiences, all the lights out. This is like one of the biggest public art displays in North America at this time of year. People everywhere are putting lights up on their houses. So we have those reminders that trigger that limbic system. And that's for better or for worse, all the beautiful memories, but also any challenging ones we've had too. So the good news is it is actually a very natural process for that limbic system to be activated at this time of year. The bad news is it can create stress in our lives, right? So Tara Brock talked about this, and she talked about 3 things in her teaching about, at this time of year, if we are activated in that way, if we start to feel stress. So the first thing she said is, it's not your fault. That awareness that this is a normal, natural part of our brain's functioning, regardless of how much New Thought principle we have embodied in our lives. It just is a thing that can happen. The great thing is we have tools to just allow that to release. The second part of her teaching was that every person has the potential to evolve their consciousness, to open their hearts, and to awaken to a more integrated experience. And that the third thing she taught was that we can intentionally cultivate generosity at this time of year. So basically, there's 2 ways that our brains function. There's in that limbic activation where we start to feel, we're actually quite self-centered at that time. I was thinking when I was preparing for to have the progressive dinner, I'm thinking, oh no, my bathroom hasn't been updated. They're going to see my 90s bathroom. Is the house, decorated enough? We haven't finished things. What are they going to think of my food? It was all about me. Like not a whole lot about, isn't it going to be fantastic to connect with these people? And I just got into sort of a really self-judgmental place. So in that limbic activation, we experience a self-centeredness. We experience a mistrust. Just like riding through the forest, we should have a mistrust. If we have that memory of falling into the stinging nettle, we want to have that alert, I've got to be careful and looking for, anything that could cause me harm. We have judgment. We snap into judgment, good or bad. Is this okay? We have resentment, and we have just a general kind of sense of self-protection. What do I need to do to protect myself? That's a pretty weird outlook for a Christmas party, right? But doesn't it happen? Do you have those moments where you're like, oh, I'm so looking forward to Christmas dinner, but are the in-laws going to cause this, and is that person going to drink too much, or whatever that could be? So if we move out of that limbic system and move into more using our frontal cortex, that's where we get that integrated place. And what we experience in that place is generosity and gratitude. That's that free feeling. You know that feeling, right? When my neighbors were at the door and they said, we're doing this, I was delighted, and I felt like, what a great opportunity. I'll get to meet people. We'll get to celebrate the holidays. I love that connection. So we feel that natural connection. Our hearts connect with each other when we're in that more integrated place. So what does that have to do with community? So that there's a Buddhist story about a wise old woman on the edge of a village. And a lonely traveler comes along, has been traveling a long time, and says to the wise woman, what are the people like in your village? And the wise woman said, well, tell me what the people were like in the village you came from. And he said, oh, they were, terrible, and they were fighting with each other, and they were mean-spirited, and you couldn't trust anybody. And she said, well, you'll probably find that people are like that here too. And then the next traveler comes along and meets the wise woman and says, what are the people like in your village? And she says, well, what were the people like in the village you came from? Oh, they were kind and they were loving and they were generous. And she said, well, you'll find that people are like that here too. So it's a great story, right? To remember that we don't experience people as they are. We experience them as we are and through our filter. And we either have that filter of that limbic system activation, which is prevalent at times like this, or through that much more integrated, open-hearted way. So a good example for me in this is my partner, Derek, because if you want to see how you are and how things can change, look at your close relationships. So my partner, so a few of you know him, is one of the most beautiful, compassionate, kind, generous, loving men I've ever met. He's an amazing human being. And I just feel so fortunate to be in relationship with him. And when my limbic system is activated, I can open the dishwasher and see that he's put the dishes in backwards. And I can devolve into a place of judgment, into a place of resentment. I can have these thoughts going like, who does that? And I change it all the time, and he still does that. And isn't it funny, this wonderful person that I love with my whole heart, I can go to this place of nitpickiness. And it has nothing to do with him. He is the same man in both scenarios. And I think that those moments are really important because as we come together, you guys have been through a lot of change. And my guess is some of you have had activated limbic systems where maybe you came here and you weren't able to access that feeling of, wow, what a beautiful community where we support each other and celebrate each other and have that non-judgment. You might have had some, oh, why does that person always, make the coffee that way or whatever that is, right? So it is that time of year, I think, where it's really good to really be gentle with ourselves. Because, if you can just take a deep breath and go, it doesn't matter. The bowls are in the dishwasher backwards. Like, he does 95% of the dishes in our house. Who cares which way they are? If there's a little dried on bit because they were the wrong way, I'll pick it off later. It doesn't matter. So in that place of, so as Tara Brock had said, it's not our fault. So let's be gentle with ourselves. That we can step into and intentionally create that generosity. And what I mean by that is it's not just a generosity of a giving nature, but it's also that generosity of spirit. First with ourselves to say, oh, Amanda, that's just your limbic brain doing exactly what it should be doing at this point in time. Take a deep breath. Definitely don't say anything out loud. and just come back to your center. And so Brock had some teachings, Tara Brock had some teachings about that. She said, the first step is to shine a light on that grasping. So that grasping energy is what we experience in that limbic system. We're in a self-protection mode. There's only so much peace and safety and love and whatever, so I got to get mine and protect mine and not let anybody get it. Whereas in that integrated place, in what we teach, that awareness of that oneness, there's one infinite source of love that is in me in every moment. So that place is much more free. Whereas this grasping place of the limbic system is, if we can just shine a light on it and say, oh yeah, there it is. And then we can compassionately look at the fears under that. Because really, that's a fear-based system, which is for our survival, but it really is based on fear. So we can compassionately look at those fears that are underneath. We kind of give ourselves that nice pat on the back, like we would with a small child who was having a tantrum. And then she actually quoted Mark Nepo. He uses a term saying, taking an exquisite risk of generosity. So that's that I know inside of me, I feel scared, I feel protective right now, but I also No, there's that piece of awareness in me that knows everything's okay, that knows that there is that infinite source of love and I am protected in all ways. So I can risk and I can be generous. And that's a beautiful place to be. I've actually had the chance to really observe living in a place of generosity. So we just started a CSL community in Nanaimo, and we have nothing. Nothing. We don't have a building. We don't have a regular Sunday service. We have nothing. So what I've done is I'm just giving myself away. You know, I'm at the library once a week and we do a meditation made easy for the whole community. No cost. Anybody can be there. We are just giving ourselves, our love, our light to the community. And that's a beautiful place to be. You can get into that, oh, well, we have to, our community expects this and we've always done that and we got to make sure that happens and, our budget's got to be this. And we can easily get into that grasping, right? But when we let it all go, I know personally, I am feeling the most creative and free and inspired in that place of generosity. And really, there's no difference. It's like my beautiful partner is the same guy when I am just basked in his love as he is when he's putting the dishes in the dishwasher wrong, right? It's not about what the external constrictions are on us, right? It's our internal thing. So I'd love to take us through a prayer of generosity to just finish off and set the tone for the holiday season. So join with me in knowing that there is one power, one presence, one divine essence that is the source of all life. That power, that presence, that one love is in, as, and through me, right here and right now. Recognizing the creative power of my word, I speak my word right here and right now for the Center for Spiritual Living White Rock, for every individual that makes up this community. And here's what I know. I know that there is that one love. I recognize that each person here is a vessel of that love and that light. I recognize their inner peace, comfort, and freedom as they come together in sacred community with that spirit of generosity, knowing that as they share together in time together, in community, that they are reminded of their true nature, that they are made whole by that expression of love made manifest in each person and this group. And so as I recognize that remembering of that love, that light, and that peace and that power, I know that this ripples out into the world because there is only one thing happening, and it is all God and it is all good. So I simply just give a grateful thanks to know this powerful truth. I release it into the action of law. I know it's done, and it is absolutely so. So with a grateful, generous heart, I simply let it be so. Thank you. I bless you.
And now it's that time of taking a moment of the spiritual practice and talk about our sacred giving as with the recognition that is part of our nature to give, that generosity that Amanda spoke about. But it's also to receive. As if we give and we receive. So at CSL White Rock, we teach that giving is not a practice that we should do out of a sense of obligation, but something we choose to do out of a generous spirit of love and of joy. And the act of giving establishes balance and allows the energy to flow freely, coming in and out and going out. And when you're balanced, you're naturally open to the miracles that surround us, because there are miracles every moment. As Susan said about her daughter telling her, "Mom, it's just a piece of meat, not worrying about the turkey." So let's say our prosperity affirmation together. I am grateful for my life. I am grateful that all that I need flows to me effortlessly. And it flows through channels expected and unexpected. I am the instrument of a prosperous life. So thank you. And again, as CSL White Rock is a nonprofit, we ask kindly for, if you choose to, you feel nourished today, to support our community by giving a donation. You can do it on our website, or you can do it on the mail, or send us a check, or send us an e-transfer. And Tu is going to put all the information in the chat for you. But just know that gifts of any size are always helpful, and we appreciate that at any time. We have a... So that's okay. Sweet imagination. But I also want to mention too, at this time of year, getting close to the year, as a nonprofit society, we give tax donations receipts. So any donations that you've made throughout the year, you will get a receipt. So sometimes at this time of year, you still have a bit of room that you want to give freely. So please consider donating to CSL White Rock, and we would greatly appreciate it, to keep doing the work and get out into the community and share more of this teaching of that we can have this wonderful life that we so desire. So with that, thank you everyone for such a beautiful day today and braving the snow for our people here.